everyone, welcome back to Shop Life. We are on the last video on this car. We're gonna actually turn it on for the first time after all this work, and I'm super excited. I'm especially excited to drive it. So we've got all of the coilovers, all of that stuff on. I actually took the wheels back off. As you guys saw in the last video, we had to put some spacers on here, but I took everything back off just to go over everything one more time. There's still a few things we gotta tie up in the engine bay, but before I do all that, I do wanna turn it on because we also ended up replacing the water pump, the thermostat, all the pulleys, all of the belts, all of the power steering hoses. As you guys know, the rod bearings, we did the whole Vanos thing. We did valve adjustment, spark plugs, everything pretty much is handled on here. So I actually already primed the oil system because when we did the rod bearings, I had to remove the oil pump. And obviously when we did the whole Vanos stuff, all that stuff was cleaned out. So the way I prime the oil system, and if this is something that you ever have to do, the quickest way to do it is you remove the spark plugs and you disconnect the fuel line. So either pull out the fuel pump fuse, and also you can have all the ignition coils unplugged. Obviously, when you have the spark plugs out, they're not gonna be plugged in. And then you just let it crank. And as you're letting it crank, you're letting the starter do all of the work. And since there's no spark plugs in there, there's not gonna be really any compression. So it's very easy for all the oil to get flowing. Now, I still have the fuel pump fuse pulled out, and I've got a battery charger hooked up. So I'm just gonna crank it over a few more times, get a little bit more oil flowing. And then after that, we'll put that fuel pump fuse back in, and we should be ready for the first start. One other thing I forgot to mention, I already did all the coding and all that for the SMG conversion. So all that stuff is squared away. It should start right up, but we're gonna find out. Let's see, it shouldn't crank when I just turn the key because the clutch isn't pushed in. We have all that wired up with the clutch switch, so let's see what happens. Nothing. All right, clutch in. All right, let's put the fuse back in. So the fuel pump fuse on most E46s is number 54. All right, moment of truth. I don't know why the fuel pump's not priming though. Let's see. Anything dripping on the ground? It sounds so much better. I'm not sure if you guys remember when we had first brought it into the shop, it was making all kinds of engine noises, Vanos noises, pulley noises. Oh man, it's so quiet. It's already purring. And I didn't even have to let it usually whenever you do Vanos or anything like that, it takes a little bit of time because the car's gonna misfire a little bit, even when that oil's starting to go through. This one, nothing. Completely like butter ever since we first turned it on. Awesome. I already checked the clutch and made sure it was engaging and disengaging. All that's looking good as well. The heater's nice and hot already. I still need to bleed it a little bit, but everything else should be pretty good. But we still gotta put all this stuff back together, and then we're gonna take it out for a spin. All right, time for a test drive.
brakes work.
Brakes do work.
As long as they work, I think we're good, right?
As long as the brakes work, we're good. Everything else doesn't matter. Clutch works too, Seth. Yeah, clutch works.
It's first time being manual.
I know, right?
Well, you
True
know,
manual.
You know what I meant.
Yeah. What sucks is we can't really get on it for another 1,200 miles. Because I like to follow all break-in procedures once you do rod bearings. A lot of people don't really think that's a big deal, but it beeped because 37 degrees outside.
Yeah.
The exhaust sounds pretty good. The Dynan exhaust. Coilovers feel good. The only thing that doesn't feel good are the brakes. But I think eventually, the more you drive them, they should bed in those pads. I'm not gonna really do a full bed-in procedure because we don't really have the facilities for that right now. After test driving the car, I pulled it back into the shop, went over everything, made sure everything was good, and then we even test drove it some more just to get the suspension and everything dialed in. And then we actually ended up renting a trailer because we're actually going to be delivering this car to Indiana. So the day is finally here. We're going to go deliver the M3. We already loaded up on the trailer. We've been on the road for a couple of hours. So the guy actually lives in Indiana, and I'm really excited because I just like to see people's reactions, you know, when they get a car like this. Like, you know, it's a dream car for many. It's also a dream car for him. And I'm just so glad that we were able to get it all, you know, mostly fixed up mechanically. And he's going to get to see it for the first time today. So we're about 10 hours from Indiana, and he's in Indianapolis. So we're just gonna, we already put on the trailer, all that, got all that stuff knocked down in the morning, and we're on the road. And yeah, so hopefully everything goes smooth. We get there pretty quickly. That way we can drive back. And we do have another surprise, but that's gonna be for another video as to why we're even going to go drop off this car and not just have it transported. But yeah, so let's get on this journey. Hopefully everything goes nice and smooth. Oh man, I think I jinxed it. The truck started misfiring, and I'm pretty sure it's the ignition coil, but we're just gonna go to O'Reilly, the next O'Reilly that's coming up, and we're just gonna stop there and get everything scanned, and hopefully they have the ignition coil. Man, sucks to suck, doesn't it?
And guess who forgot their scanner?
Yeah. I brought all of my BMW stuff, which doesn't make any sense because the BMW is on the trailer. So why would I bring my BMW scanner? Oh my goodness. But yeah, at least it's a Ford truck, so we should be able to find parts anywhere, hopefully, and anybody should be able to scan it.
Update on the road trip so far. We are at O'Reilly because the truck started misfiring really bad. Okay, somebody just scanned it, and it turns out it is cylinder 2. So hopefully they have it in stock. He's not used to working on them trucks. Oh my gosh. Y'all see his swag though? Y'all see these? Yeah. Oh gosh.
That's how you said it.
Snow.
That's how you said it. Yeah, so it's a good thing that we stopped at O'Reilly before we got to all this, because I don't think I'm gonna see any more O'Reillys or AutoZones for a little while. We bought a new ignition coil, got that replaced, and everything seems to be okay. But tell me, why is a Ford ignition coil made by some random company I've never heard of, Standard Ignition or something, or Blue Peak or something, why is it $60 for an ignition coil when I can get BMW coils for like $30 to $40 made by Bosch? That's why you don't buy stuff at parts stores. Everybody is always like, oh, you can just go to your local parts store and get it. But I can get a good quality ignition coil from online for half that price. But hey, we didn't have any options. We were in a pinch. Seems to be holding up just fine. Hopefully this gets us there and back. So we ended up getting there pretty late. It was very rainy and cold, and we had a lot of bad weather on the way to drop the car off as well. But we did make it there safe and sound, and I'm so glad we were able to deliver it in person, get to meet him and show him around the car. And I mean, his face was just priceless. He was so in love with the car, and it was just a great, it was just a great thing to do overall. But anyways, I'm glad we were able to deliver that to him, and I'm sure he's going to give us some more updates in the future. He already has quite a few appointments planned for the body shop to get the rest of the cosmetic repairs done as well. So I'm really looking forward to that, and we'll definitely update you guys once we get those updates from him. With that being said, we are already back from Indiana, and we're ready to move on to the next project. We still have quite a few projects to go, and make sure you stay tuned for the next video where you get to see what we brought back from Indiana. And no, it's not the car behind me, but we did bring back something with an amazing story, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this project overall, and we have plenty of other projects already in the pipeline, and I'm so excited to share those projects with you guys. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video.